Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 27th of May to the 2nd of June 2024. Now we have very little actual activity going on this week, but there are some significant connections with major planets, and the main one here being Pluto and Jupiter. So Pluto is at 1 degree Aquarius and Jupiter's at the 1st degree of Gemini. That makes what's called a trine, a 30-degree angle, which is harmonic, and they're both planets of personal empowerment. So we know that Pluto is going retrograde in Aquarius, and retrograde takes us inwards. So this is our alchemical healing, this is our complete self-mastery and empowerment, this is our divine connection. Pluto carries a lot of weight and moves very slowly. So we have Pluto retrograde to the 12th of October, but Jupiter's just made inroads into Gemini and will stay there until June next year, so just over a year. Jupiter being our sovereignty, clearing the obstacles, having a broad horizons and a clear road ahead, space to expand into. So while one energy is deeply within us, our intuition, our knowing, our sense of who we really are on a soul level, some people may even have flashes of past lives and the longevity of the eternal soul. That's Pluto, but with Jupiter it's a little bit more personal, and it's to do with us, our expansion, our learning and our journey. So to have these two planets at a harmonic angle, the beginning of air signs will then lodge this more in the realm of the mind, because air signs are more to do with the mind. So we're looking at both a backwards motion with Pluto, going deep within to deprogram and decondition any behaviours, phobias, fears, past life trauma, inherited stories, and then forward motion with Jupiter, once those are cleared out of the way, to step into our true selves, our new selves and our now selves. So very interesting dynamic there. We can observe it all week. Look at what you're letting go of from the past and what space that's making going into the future, but probably around beliefs, perceptions, narratives, and the way that we think about ourselves and express ourselves. This week the moon goes from Capricorn through to Aries. And one way to begin to learn astrology through observation, because it's largely observational science, is to stay aware of what's going on each day. For this I recommend an app called Celeste, Celeste. If you download that, you'll be able to see the chart of the day. You don't have to know astrology or be able to read it that well, but you'll be able to observe something like the moon going over each of the planets. So we start the week with the moon crossing over Pluto. And what the moon lets us do in astrology is actually be able to feel into the energy. So we're feeling more into the energy of Pluto at the beginning of the week, which then can be applied by going with that, going within, looking at deleting old fears, old narratives, anything that's restrictive, and finding your deep sense of inner power. So that energy will be stronger at the beginning of the week. Later in the week the moon will cross over Saturn, then Neptune, and ending up near Mars. So just simply keeping a diary sometimes of how each day feels different and what's coming up for you, what insights and inspiration, realizations, and changes in perspective, we can then start to learn a little bit about the other planets, because each planet is its own archetype, and after a while we begin to feel the difference between something like Pluto or Jupiter when they're on the move. So a great way to learn astrology is to just plot a course, see what's going on in the current day, look at which planets are involved, and then see if you can feel the subtle differences. Once you start applying this to your own chart, you can see if you've got any of your own planets involved. Just do one at a time really, it's best not to get too overcomplicated. But you might see that the moon is going over your moon, or the moon is going over your sun. And the mind says, yes, but what does that mean? I need to control, I need to understand. But if you can turn that off long enough and just use it as a walking meditation and ask to be shown, then say if the moon was over your moon, you're going to have a very strong connection with your own birth moon on that day, and you'll be shown many different aspects of what that is for you. So if we can just remain open and curious and observant, then it is actually possible to learn a lot about astrology without having to think or read a book or do a workshop. Another great exercise, once you have got to the basics of your own birth chart, is to actually plot a course, to make a personal calendar. So an example of that, which I can walk you through in a session, would be to see when the sun crosses over each of the other planets in your chart. So when the sun crosses over a planet in your birth chart, it will light that up. And it's one day a year, but it's a really good opportunity just to explore that part of yourself. So for example, if the sun crosses over Uranus, you're suddenly going to meet your rebel and your visionary. If you put the focus there, then you'll get lots of insights into that part of yourself and how it expresses, because each of the signs is a different expression of the planetary energy. And then you'll get to know it as part of yourself, and you'll be able to feel it when something else is happening in that area. So personal calendar can be started by just tracking the sun and which day it moves over each of the planets in your chart, and then just setting your intention to study that planet, that archetype within you, and you'll be shown a lot over the course of a year. So that's how intuitive astrology starts, by realizing that we have all these planets inside of us. They're all different archetypes, they can all be felt, they can all be known, and then they can be harnessed. There's certain times when you want to delegate and not lead just with your sun sign. Maybe times when you want to lead with your Jupiter or your Uranus, depending on the situation. So it brings us back into a retrieval of all the parts of ourselves, and then the opportunity to choose which tool we're going to use in our kit, rather than always banging away with a hammer. So like I say, not much more else going on this week. Pluto trine Jupiter, clearing the past, liberating ourselves, making some space, especially on the mental planes. So be open to changing your perspective, to new ideas, to new ways of expressing yourself, and to even which self you're expressing. Is it the old story that's bogged down in past experiences, or is it the sovereign part of you that's ready and really got something to say? So if you'd like to see where this is happening for you, I am available, zoehind7@gmail.com. Do one-to-one sessions. Those can be readings, coaching, tarot, or teaching you your chart, creating a personal calendar, or a tarot scope. Many, many more ways of having a productive and enlightening session. I post these videos on YouTube, Zoe Astro, Instagram zoehind7, and Facebook AstroZoe. So really, single mission this week: know thyself. Self-mastery really is the meaning of life. The self that we think we know has to be taken apart, as it's a personality story, and once we connect with our true self, our unique vibration, through learning our chart and meditation, then we really achieve what we came here to do, which is to contribute our unique energy to the world and follow the path that we designed for ourselves. So wishing you a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.